Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Klekwas, Good Morning Africa. This is another episode of Africa Good Morning, where we bring you the latest headlines from across the continent. Now today we delve into significant stories shaping the continent's future. We'll be talking about Kenya's President William Ruto's state visit to China and the expanding ties between the two nations. Ivory Coast electoral drama following the disqualification of opposition leader Tidjane Thiam, and the dire humanitarian situation in Ethiopia as the UN warns of an impending catastrophe. Also, don't miss our South Africa report with Arrie Hougaard, who will share insights on the latest current affairs, sports and entertainment stories stemming from that country. We also have economic developments, including Ethiopia's bid to join the BRICS New Development Bank. Make sure to join us on DSTV 285, GOtv 25, 1up2.com and Network Media Hub, as well as NTV AFRICA on YouTube. Stay with us as we keep you informed on all the key events happening across Africa. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly. Kenya's President William Ruto arrived in Beijing for the start of a 4-day state visit to China. It is the third time since taking office that Ruto visits China. Now, he previously attended the Third Road and Belt Forum in October 2023 and the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in September last year. The visit, on invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping, is expected to bring the two countries closer together in sectors such as trade, transport and technology. This comes in the wake of 10% tariffs applied by U.S. President Donald Trump on all Kenyan exports to the U.S., which have accelerated Nairobi's quest to diversify its commercial partners. Among them, China is a key interest, currently taking the top spot in Kenya's list of most important trade partners. Meanwhile, Beijing also has commercial interests and ties that it could seek to deepen. Nairobi is currently its biggest source of trade in East Africa. In light of these ties, among the key subjects up for discussion between the two countries are funding for the railway line project between Naivasha and the town of Malaba near the Ugandan border, as well as plans for a motorway from Nairobi to Mau Summit. Kenya could also be seeking to increase its export opportunities and open up new markets for some of its products, such as tea. Ivory Coast's main opposition leader has been removed from the electoral roll by the judiciary, which says he is ineligible to run in October's presidential election. Tidjane Thiam renounced his French citizenship in order to run for president, but a court argued yesterday that the former Credit Suisse boss forfeited his Ivory Coast nationality when he acquired French citizenship in 1987. Thiam said the court's decision was an act of democratic vandalism, which will disenfranchise millions of voters. His disqualification comes just a week after he was confirmed as the presidential candidate of the center-right Democratic Party, the PDCI. The governing RHDP party has not yet announced its candidate, but the current president, 83-year-old Alassane Ouattara, is likely to run for what would be a fourth term in office. Three other prominent figures, including former President Laurent Gbagbo, have been barred from running. Reacting to the ruling, Thiam said, "It's no surprise that this court ruling comes as our support among voters continues to grow. After 15 years in power, RHDP leaders are running scared." The head of the UN's food agency in Ethiopia has warned that millions of Ethiopians are one shock away from falling into a catastrophe. Zlatan Milicic of the World Food Programme said the organization will be forced to halt treatment for over 500,000 malnourished women and children from next month due to a funding shortfall. Without additional financial support, 3.6 million people could soon lose access to food aid. The country is still reeling from the effects of a 2-year civil war in Tigray, with ongoing violence in the Amhara and Oromia regions, displacing hundreds of thousands, and a severe drought impacting the southeast. Ethiopia is also hosting refugees from Sudan, Somalia, South Sudan, and Eritrea. The WFP needs $222 million to continue operations from April to September, but has not received enough funding despite global donor efforts. Insecurity and criminal activities, especially in Amhara, are further threatening humanitarian operations and staff safety. Hunger and malnutrition are rising across the country, which has a population of about 130 million people. Pope Francis, who passed away in April 2025, just a couple of days ago, significantly reshaped the Catholic Church's relationship with Africa during his papacy by prioritizing the continent's needs and presence within the global church. Often referring to Africa as the continent of hope, he made 5 trips to 10 African countries, focusing on conflict zones, impoverished communities, and regions affected by climate change. His visits to countries like the Central African Republic, where he entered Muslim neighborhoods to promote peace, and South Sudan, where he famously kissed the feet of rival leaders to encourage reconciliation, underscored his commitment to unity and justice. He supported marginalized communities, denounced inequality, and called for religious tolerance during his visits to places like Egypt, Morocco, and Mozambique. Though he faced pushback from African bishops for his progressive stance on same-sex blessings, his tenure left a lasting impression of compassion, humility, and outreach across the continent's Catholic population, which now makes up 1 in 5 of the global faithful. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Shortly, we're going to be talking to Arrie Hougaard as he delivers the South Africa report. And his top story is about South Africans awaiting a court judgment on Tuesday, 29 April, which will determine whether the proposed 0.5% VAT increase will go ahead from the 1st of May. Stay with Africa. Good morning. It's time to talk to the one and only Arrie Hougaard as he delivers the news stories from Mzansi, South Africa. Good morning, Arrie.
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin. Nice to talk to you this morning.
It's good to talk to you, Arrie. So, in your current affairs, you've got 2 stories for us. South Africans await a court judgment on Tuesday, 29 April, which will determine whether the proposed 0.5% VAT increase will go ahead from the 1st of May. And in your other update, the taxi industry remains a massive component of the South African economy, with annual revenue exceeding 100 billion rand, but the industry appears to pay limited taxes. Take it away, Arrie.
Yes, Ashwin. Yes, a big day for South Africa this morning, and we all woke up this morning to new news about this. Obviously what's been happening behind the scenes. There's a court case. That was in court in the Western Cape High Court and there was going to be a judgment given next week Tuesday, but we all woke up this morning seeing news reports that the Minister of Finance announced that he's going to do away with a 0.5% budget increase, as was in the budget. That was the National Assembly voted to adopt that budget framework. That was by 194 votes to 192. That's a few weeks ago. But then the DA and the EFF, the DA first and then the EFF, went to court and said that they challenged quite a few things. They challenged also the Finance Minister power under the VAT Act to declare the 0.5% increase. So that's the DA, that is Helen Zille speaking before the court. But what happened this morning early, there was an announcement first late last night that the DA saying that the lawyers of the ANC has approached the DA with a possible proposal. But this morning there was a press release by the finance, Mr. Enoch Konondwani, that was quite a big announcement saying that he will do away with the proposed 0.5% VAT increase. So it's been a bit of a political struggle maybe as well. It's the point that was for political gain at some stages as well, was the feeling. But in the end, it is the political parties that had to agree what will happen with the budget from here on in. So what is reality at the moment? There will be a press release this morning, Thursday morning at 10 a.m. From the Minister of Finance, and he will explain what he will do. Obviously, not having the VAT increase will leave a hole in the budget, meaning that they were thinking of, or they were planning about 10 billion South African rand annually. There was going to be another 2.5% increase next year. So that money is not going to come in. But that is Mr. Kieswetter from SARS. So it's important that we notice what they've been saying about the tax being collected. And it's actually been a good year, to say it in that words, for SARS the past financial year. They actually got collected 10 billion more in the previous year. So in total, 2.3 trillion South African rand was added to the South African budget. And it is about 6.9% up from the previous year. So there's better collection of taxes, and maybe that's what many sources have been saying for a while, Ashwin, is that the money is there, but SARS need to be better equipped to get everybody to pay what they're meant to pay in taxes. So that's a big development at the moment. So we'll hear what the minister say at 10 a.m. And then also another big important announcement is there's a meeting between the ANC and the DA at 11 o'clock in Johannesburg today that is related to the government of national unity. So obviously there's been rumblings behind closed doors. They're not happy with each other, but South Africa needs a healthy government of national unity. Just briefly on the taxis that you mentioned, it's a massive industry in South Africa. It is 100 billion annually South African rand that is generated through that. The corporate taxes only paid about 5 million South African rand, so it's a small percentage that come through corporate taxes. Obviously, it's a cash process, etc., etc. But there's other means that the taxi industry do benefit the economy. It's, for instance, on VAT for vehicle sales, there's about 4 billion South African rand that comes in, and also on fuel levies, there's a massive amount of 7 billion South African rand that come in through the taxi operators. 408 million rand has been allocated to the taxi societies in the new budget. That's to assist them still from the COVID-19, and there's been many of the taxi owners that haven't registered in time. So there's 250,000 taxis in South Africa, moving 15 million people around every day. So it's a big component of South Africa's economy. So hopefully that will add to money that will come in for the Minister of Finance. But so just to finalize that, a big announcement this morning, the Minister of Finance said they will do away with a 0.5% VAT increase as announcement this morning.
All right, Arrie, let's get into your sports. Some big football games are set for Friday in the CAF Champions League, with 2 South African teams playing major semi-final matches in Egypt.
Yes, it's happening on Friday, Ashwin, and it's South Africa against Egypt, and there was round 1 the past weekend. It was 0-0 in both the games, so it was actually advantage to the Egyptian teams. It's Mamelodi Sundowns playing against Al Ahly. and it is Orlando Pirates playing against Pyramids. And so that will be this coming Friday, 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. So that's big games coming up. Hopefully they can win those games, Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates, to go through to the final of the CAF Champions League. That is president of the netball there on screen. That is Cecilia Molokwane. It's been a big challenge for South African netball, unfortunately. She's been suspended. She's been suspended by World Netball. And also, South African netball was at Parliament yesterday before, and that was to discuss what's happening in World Netball. So the accusation says that the report on the 2023 World Cup has not been done yet, and has not been done at all. So that's not quite a few things to explain. For one, the government gave R9 to the World Cup, and that was used for. So there's obviously things that it was for, but they need the auditors to find in substance that is not known to all the public at the moment. World Netball suspended the president of South African Netball, so that's not good for the sport. Hopefully they can sort it out soon.
All right, Arrie, it's time to move over to your entertainment news. It's a big weekend of music in Cape Town, with the annual Cape Town Jazz Festival being hosted in the mother city.
And I wish I could have hosted you this week, but I know you'll be coming to Cape Town soon, so we'll have to catch up. So it's a jazz festival. It's starting tonight with the free concert at Free Market Square, Green Market Square rather. It's not Free Market, it's Green Market Square in the center of Cape Town. That's Green Market Square. Normally there's lots of vendors there, and it's been historic. It goes back to 1696, that square in the middle of Cape Town. So they're going to clear that all up, and there's going to be a free jazz concert tonight from 4:30 onwards to midnight, or closer to 10 p.m. tonight. That's to start off the launch of the Cape Town Jazz Festival. One of the highlights of the music calendar in Cape Town and South Africa probably as well. So you can look forward to the British jazz legend, the Incognito. He's going to be in action, or going to be on stage. Also the South African TKZ that will be there. Hannah Ray, and then Andrea Fortain. She's a powerful vocalist. She will also be at the Cape Town Jazz Festival. So it's a lot to look forward to. That will start on Friday, and it will also go through to Saturday. So lots of jazz in Cape Town. And then also, when you're done with all the jazz, be sure to visit the Green Market Square. That's one of the tourist hubs in Cape Town. It used to be a slave market and a vegetable market in days gone by. But now it's a very popular craft market. But from tonight, 4:30 tonight, it will be jazz at the Green Market Square, and the Cape Town will be full of jazz this coming weekend. So it's going to be a festive weekend in Cape Town.
Thank you very much, Arrie. Exciting times ahead indeed. But thank you for bringing us the South Africa report.
It's a pleasure, Ashwin, and a great day for everyone. We talk next week, Thursday again. Bye-bye.
All right. Now, Ethiopia is on track to become the fourth African nation to join the BRICS New Development Bank. We'll be talking about that economic news after the indicators. Ethiopia is on track to become the fourth African nation to join the BRICS New Development Bank, NTV, following South Africa, Egypt and Algeria, according to Ethiopia's ambassador to Brazil, Lesoged Tadesse Abebe. The country has already submitted its membership application and secured political support from all current BRICS members. Ethiopia's entry into the NDB marks a strategic move to deepen its integration with global economic frameworks and aligns with its national priorities in agriculture, energy and industry. The NDB's expansion into the Horn of Africa signals both Ethiopia's rising economic profile and the BRICS Alliance's ongoing commitment to inclusive, sustainable development across emerging markets, particularly on the African continent. In Namibia, Deputy Minister of Industrialization, Mines and Energy, Gaudentia Krona, addressed Namibia's mining industry directly for the first time during the Chamber of Mines of Namibia's annual general meeting held in Windhoek. In her remarks, she urged the timely and effective utilization of mining and exploration licenses while recognizing the critical role the mining sector plays in driving the Namibian economy. This video is courtesy of Algeta Greg.
Continues to champion policies that promote exploration, responsible mining, value addition, and equitable benefit sharing. I also wish to extend my gratitude to the Chamber of publishing a memorial of our late founding father, His Excellency Dr. Sam Shabishuna Nyoma, for his unwavering dedication, resilience, and a visionary leadership, not only for the nation, but also for the mining sector to prosper. His legacy will forever remain with us. May his soul rest in eternal peace. As you are aware, the mining industry continues to contribute significantly to the economy of this country, and for that I would like to thank all the captains of the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, our mandate as newly appointed Minister and Deputy Minister of Industries, Mines and Energy is to implement the Swabo Party Manifesto and job creation is high on the agenda, and that can only be achieved by finding mineable deposits and to open more mines. The Ministry will work hard not to delay the granting of exploration mining licenses, not to hinder business in the country. However, the Ministry is concerned by some mineral right holders that are not adhering to their approved exploration programs, which result in licenses not being renewed. When exploration licenses are issued, some of the holders take too long to execute the exploration programs, which locks up ground and delays potential mineral discoveries. Secondly, there are mining licenses that have been granted for a long time now without any mining development taking place. In the coming weeks, the Ministry will engage all mining license holders on the way forward and how we can assist them to start with production.
All right, those have been our stories on Africa. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us throughout the week. We're still going to be coming back on Friday with the Namibia-focused news. But just to remind you, on Mondays, we zone in on Zambia with Mike Sichula, Tuesday, Zimbabwe with Talent Gore, Wednesday, Botswana with Rorisang Mohojwe, and Thursday with Arrie Hougaard in South Africa. Friday, as I said, is Namibia Focus, and I shall certainly be here along with the Africa Good Morning team. But for now, from us, Suraj Ranaka.